Today is a special episode, in my opinion, because we have a special guest, Dr. Urs Brodbeck. Urs, thank you for your time, and would you be so kind to introduce yourself a little bit, what you specialize in and what's your expertise?
Pleasure, Anna Maria. So, I am as old as I look. That's already difficult today. I'm around 64, and my first drilling I made more than 40 years ago. So I'm quite an experienced dentist, and I had a profound education at University of Zurich as a prosthodontist. These are the guys that replace teeth in the mouth, so I make crowns, veneers, implants. And then I decided not to become a professor. Already in those days, bureaucracy started to take over, and I think today professors at university, they spend so much time just with PDFs and with whatever, fighting for extra money and stuff. So I went into private practice and I founded a dental hygienist school together with 3 friends. And I'm the last one that's still there. All the others left the clinic already. And out of this private practice, I developed many things that are familiar with most of the dentists worldwide. For example, let's say zirconia. That's the material that's mostly used for crowns and bridge nowadays. We started with green face grinding. This was a special method how we can make crowns cheaper, faster, metal-free. This was in the early 2000s. And maybe nowadays the company called Xavex and it went as Cenotech, and today it's IPS Emax from Ivoclar. And several projects in implants with the abutments, the titanium base. I started 20 years ago, and nowadays everybody makes titanium base plus zirconia. And the newest baby is GalvoSurge. Maybe the periodontists are familiar with this cleaning device. GalvoSurge can clean implants intraorally when they are covered with biofilm. So it's let's say, it's a milestone in the treatment of peri-implantitis. So you see, I'm not just taking out money of the hole, from 5 to 5 centimeters. Some people it's bigger, then you have more space, But I already founded startups and I introduced new things into dentistry. So in one word, I think I'm an experienced and still passionate dentist where the patient is in the focus of all his planning and thinking.
Not just a dentist. But very interesting that you mentioned this, the word cheap. Everything is kind of cheap these days. What is your opinion on dentists worldwide? Why do they usually take this kind of shortcuts and short-term approach instead of trying to focus on the patient and on the problem and the pain, what caused it in the first place?
If you compare the profession of a dentist with the profession of a car mechanic,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know that very well.
From one point of view, it's worldwide the same. You have brilliant mechanics. Mm-hmm. They look at your car and after 5 minutes, they know what's the problem. And they say, I fix it for $100 and it lasts 10 years.
Yeah, in Croatia, there's always, when you go to another mechanic, they will ask you, who did this?
Who did this? Okay, but this is dentistry the same.
Same.
So some aspects are exactly the same. And with a car, if in one moment you use, let's say, the wrong tire or you have the wrong screw, then you simply can fix it afterwards if it breaks down and you have to pay a little bit more. But now in dentistry, the problem is if you lose a tooth, you cannot go back to square one, you cannot fix it. So
you can't get a new one.
A bad dentist, and let's say he's also cheap, because that's not always the same as the mechanics, And then if you pay less, if you pay not the appropriate amount to fix something in a proper way, at the end, it costs you much more. So that's why I think you always should choose the right person that fixes your car and the right person that fixes your teeth. So dentists are just common people. So there are no more gods in white. They never existed, If you have a white dress and then people think, oh, he's a doctor, he cares about my health. I think these times are gone because at the end we all have to make money with our hands and whatever. So I've forgotten a little bit the question.
Why do dentists use shortcut approaches and see patients only as money making?
No, ask your mechanic. Why didn't you tell me I should have done it like this? You know.
No, but not only mechanic. I mean, when I met you in 19, I came here because of your partner, Mia, a good friend of mine, and I had severe infection. I mean, as you know, you treated my gums, my health, my gingiva, my teeth. You made them beautiful. But I had hell in Croatia, unfortunately, with a couple of clinics, a couple of doctors, because of their, how would I call it? How would I verbalize it? Because of there was no knowledge behind the expertise, unfortunately. It was all covered in some kind of vague something. So I ended up, like you've seen, with very terrible work that was done.
So first of all, and I mean, I can talk. You said we can talk about your teeth. There is no secret or no protection of that or whatever. So patient like you, I see my clinic, they come from all over the place. So it's not only Croatia, they come also from Switzerland, where we are right now. So in every country you have excellent dentists, and you have dentists that simply do not have the education to do proper and excellent dentistry. Because, for example, in my country, after 5 years, you get the license to drill. And you can open a clinic, a practice, and you can write down, I'm a doctor. You even can write down specialist for anything, because the title specialist is not protected. So you have to be really careful what these guys or these ladies write down under their title. And then you can start drilling and filling and just do anything. And if you go to these practices, and first of all, they have everybody beautiful website, you know, that costs money. And then you have a beautiful clinic, you have modern instruments, costs money. So they have to do something. And if you come in as a patient and they can make a crown, then a lot of people do not realize that to make a crown is not the same in every individual, because, for example, in your case, you have a very sensitive gum, you know. But we see that. You can see what you can do in that patient, or you see that's an easy patient. I can do almost everything, and it looks beautiful, and there is no reaction from the immune system for the periodontium from the gingiva.
That is exactly the case, because there is no. It's about approach and then expertise in the end. There was no approach in Croatia. When they messed up the gingiva, the gums, the first time, I knew that something was wrong. I was led by my intuition, and I asked them, and I told them, like, why is it so red for days, for weeks? And they said, well, it's because we can't do it any different, you know. And this was completely, I had no idea back then. This was 2017, 18, but it was clearly wrong, you know. And I think it would, the consequence after some years would be that, I don't know, I think I would lose my first 2 teeth completely because of their ignorance and unfortunately bad work.
Yeah, I mean, to tell the people out there, what happened is that you got a new crown, and the crown always takes 2 team players. It's one in the lab, that's a dental technician. He gets an impression from the clinician, you know, he cuts down the teeth. Now already the quality of the impression, the dental technician cannot make a proper fitting crown if the impression is bad. So this team has to pay on a high level. And it's like in soccer, you have Premium League, and then you goes down to the guys that never run during they play soccer, you know. So these teams, but they always survive. They always have patience. So it needs a dentist that has a good education, that knows how to cut down a tooth, how deep subgingivally, that's a term, you know, we have sometimes to hide the margins between crown and tooth under the gums, that we do not see them. And then you have to work very precisely. So if you take a little probe, this is the little thing the dentist always runs around in the mouth and checks for decays and stuff. If you go with a probe over the margin, you cannot detect it. So today we can work down to, let's say, 20 microns, 50 microns, and this is a very precise fit. But in your situation, when we went with the probe over the margin, we even could go down with the fingernail and you make click, click, click. And now if you magnify this situation, millions of bacteria can go underneath there because you cannot clean them, you know. So even if you know how to clean, because you have a bad fit, bacteria go down there. And when I've seen you first, I just saw the redness around your crown.
Exactly.
So the crown, the dental technician, actually, I think he did a good job, you know, because the color was okay. But something went wrong with the marginal fit. And then we had this infection. We had the gums that were bleeding. And whenever you went down with your brush and it was bleeding, and then you just made the opposite of what you should have done, proper cleaning, you stop. And then you get confused, and especially then if you go to the dentist, and then, you know what I tell these dentists, if you have a case like that, I always say, listen, then send the patient to a specialist, to somebody who has a lot of experience, that he can fix it. Because by just being ignorant, they lost you as a patient, but they would have won you if they said, oops, something went wrong, we will fix this and send it to a specialist.
But that would all be good if they if they apologized in a way, or if, like you said, they said, okay, we made something wrong, let's try to fix it. But no, they stood their stupid ground, as I would say, and they did nothing after. They even, if you remember, I had the retainers after the braces, and the fixed retainer on my upper jaw, they put over the gums. And when you told me go back to Croatia, let them remove it, I went there. I was completely freaking out, and I told them I will come now. It was 10 to 2. They close at 2. It's ordination Schlei Anic, a really expensive one, but terrible one. I would not recommend this because they did many things wrong there without taking responsibility for it. And I asked them, why did you put a retainer over my gums? And their simple answer was, we had no space. But I mean, I would never put a retainer over the gums how. And then, of course, I had the infection for weeks, months, years, unfortunately, but because of that. And none of these doctors and dentists ever showed me how to clean teeth properly, what products to use, how to do it, what am I doing wrong? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And in your case, and Mia's case, you showed me everything from bottom up, bottom down, which products to use, how to clean, how to rinse, which mouthwashes to use, which toothpaste, toothbrushes. You know, also since I switched to the supersonic one, the Parasonic, I have the feeling that my life changed. My dental hygiene changed, how important that is. And this is the problem. No one talks about that worldwide, how important the dental hygiene is.
Yeah.
And what the consequences are if we ignore it.
Yeah. But you know what maybe happened in that case, you know, I always say, if you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
So retention means if you make orthodontics, if you got your tooth moved around in your oral cavity, and then at one moment we want to retain. We want that the teeth do not move anymore. And if you only know the metallic retainers that you put on the lingual or palatal that you bond in the mouth, and that's one option. But there's many other ways to retain teeth. For example, we have now all these clear splints or aligners, and then you can put these aligners in the night there, then teeth also are not moving, so especially if you do not have enough space. But if you do not have enough space, there is no reason to build in a device in the mouth that's not cleansable. And then it's a plaque retainer, and then you end up with infection and pain. So I don't know what happened there, you know. Maybe it was also you. You have said, come on, 5 minutes, and then I go out, you know.
Yeah,
because it's sometimes also the patient that sets the dentist under pressure. But what I want to say, every doctor that makes work like you had, crowns, they should have a concept. And the concept is in all the patients different. We will discuss this later on. Some concepts are, patients comes in, and I mean, I know that from personal experience. In some concepts, there is most cases a very good looking, attractive lady. She's trained like as a psychologist, and her only goal is she has to find out how much money the patient has for the treatment. And if the patient says, he looks ugly, I have 30,000, whatever currency, and then when the doctor comes, he says, I have a super solution for you, it costs 30,000. Okay. And then, but this is not my concept. I mean, this is a concept, and I'm sure many of you guys that listen now have such a doctor. And it's up to you to check him out if he has, what is his concept. So my first concept, and I told you a couple of minutes ago that I founded a dental hygiene school. So in some countries, they do not have dental hygienists. So in Switzerland, this is a program that goes for 3 years. So mainly ladies, we already had boys that did it. They are co-workers that do not drill and fill and cut down the teeth, but they teach the patient how to fight against the biofilm in the mouth. So they teach the patient how to clean, and they also clean the teeth with ultrasonic devices, with air powder spray products, with curettes, they scratch on the tooth surface, and they also treat certain disease like periodontitis, peri-implantitis, all different kind, and they have the knowledge to do that. So I think modern dentistry is not possible without having one of these co-workers called dental hygienist. So in the first concept is never make anything in an oral cavity that's not healthy. This is very important for implants. This is very important for removable dentures. This is as well important for crown and bridge work. Because if you put something in the mouth, it's always more difficult to clean, and if the patient is not capable to clean before you start, he won't be after you finish the job, So first is create a healthy mouth. And then second is whatever you put in, the patient has to be capable to clean. Because if he's not capable, then you get let's call them the three main diseases we fight, or maybe four. One is gingivitis, then that's just infection of the gum. And if not only the gum is infected, it goes down to the bone, and the bone resorbs. We call it the periodontitis. And then we have the same issues around implants. We have perimucositis, that is the gingivitis called around the implants. And then we have peri-implantitis, that's when the bone around the implant goes down. And then, what you all know, it's decay. If you have natural tooth substance, it can also be destroyed by bacteria, and that's we call a decay or a caries.
Is there a cause for caries? And what's the most common cause?
Most common cause of
and why do some people have it and some people don't have it?
Yeah. So, I mean, this question is, it's a hypothesis. I cannot prove that it's like that, but a good friend and neighbor of mine, he is I always call him Professor Mummy, because he works with mummies. He goes to Egypt, and then he always tells me decay was not around in the past, but the rich people, that had a lot of honey. So in the old days, sugar was not around. We only add things without sugar.
Processed sugar.
Processed, yeah. Sugar. But also if you eat too much berries, too much sugar, or once we had a problem with a patient that was addicted to resins, the dried grapes. And he always had one of these in the mouth, and these are just sugar bombs. You know, you have to be careful because sugar nowadays is everywhere around. And now bacteria in the mouth, they love sugar. So if you feed them with sugar, they produce acid, and then the enamel and the dentin, enamel and dentin are the two main substances of teeth. They get decayed, and then you have a hole, and if you don't stop it, you can lose the tooth because it doesn't stop. It really can fall apart. The whole tooth can be dissolved. So it's the sugar, and then it's bacteria, as I said. And then there is another aspect. You can strengthen the tooth. You can strengthen the enamel by fluorides. And I mean, I'm not afraid of fluorides, but today even this is a little bit philosophy. Some people don't like it, but I'm still...
Yeah, where does it come from? Because, I mean, on social media, unfortunately, the world is kind of run by social media, and people get influenced by all these TikTokers and, you know, reels, and sometimes someone appears and starts saying things against fluoride, but without any scientific facts. Where does that come from, that fluoride is bad, and what does it actually do? If you can explain it a little bit.
Did you like chemistry in school?
Well, we had a very bad...
Okay, you blame the teacher. You blame the teacher. That's another aspect. No, I ask you guys, who loved chemistry at school?
Yeah.
I didn't, because it was so complicated.
But I liked doing experiments.
Exactly.
And I like doing experiments today, even today, especially on my skin. But yeah.
So let's come down. I mean, it's the same as when you talk about fluorides. Fluoride itself is nothing toxic. But if you take it apart, and if you see the F on the big chemistry table, it's in quite an area where you have a lot of bad boys. So, and I just tell you, in Switzerland, you know, we have the Alps, you all know them, and there is also a village up in the Alps, and we call it the natural water that comes down, and people there drink the water that comes out of the Alp. And in this Alp, there is a big amount of fluorides in the water naturally. I don't know how it went there. Maybe there was once a volcano or a meteorite or whatever was there. But anyway, in the water, you have more fluorides than you have in water in cities where they add fluorides.
Yeah, artificial.
And in this village, people all had quite white teeth. A little bit of damage if you eat too much fluorides, if you have these white discolorization that are intrinsic, they are in the enamel, right? But they had no decay, and they also had the same vitality, and they had the same age they got, so they had no problem. So in nature, sometimes you have more fluoride in the natural water than we put into toothpaste or that we have somewhere around. So I'm not afraid of that because it's a natural product.
What happens when you have a toothpaste with fluoride and without? What's the benefit of one and another?
One or the other.
I mean, I have some friends who would tell me, no, you're using Curaprox, don't use it, they use fluoride. Yes, okay, I mean, and then when I ask them to kind of justify it and tell me some facts about it, what's better, why yours better without, they can't name any facts, they can't say anything.
They found out, I mean, this is not a long time ago, this is maybe 50 years ago, they started to find out that fluoride can change the enamel. So fluoride goes into the enamel, and then it changes the quality of the enamel. Or in other words, enamel with a lot of fluoride is more resistant to an acid attack. Acid attacks we have a lot nowadays. For example, if you have bacteria, you eat sugar, bacteria eat the sugar and they pee out acid, and this acid dissolves the enamel more and more until you have a big hole, a big decay. That's one thing. Or if you drink Coca-Cola every day, Nestle iced tea, Red Bull, they all have I think it's E383. If you look at Coca-Cola, it says that these are some of the things, and this is phosphoric acid.
Phosphoric, yes. Yeah.
Just when you drink it, that you have this tingling on the tongue. But if you eat every day, drink 1 liter of Coca-Cola, and if you drink it in one time, it's not that bad. That if you drink it over 1 hour in little sips, then you lose enamel. We call this erosion. So you can lose tooth substance just by eating too much acid. So we go back.
And also cleaning the teeth right after acidic drinks.
That's why you can just test your dentist. If you go to your dental hygienist, and if you don't know that after you eat an apple or after you eat Coca-Cola, whatever, you should not clean your teeth, orange juice right afterwards, because then the enamel is like softened by this acid, and then it takes an hour or two until let's say it hardens again by other chemical actions, and then you can clean. Or if you want to go to bed and I say I cannot sleep without having an orange, then you just simply clean your teeth before and you eat your orange and you go to bed, because
less damage will be done over time if you do that.
Yeah, if you're addicted, but I mean addiction, I think I don't know a lot of addictions you cannot simply stop, To come back, why did I start my dental hygienist school? In a concept, first, it's health.
Yeah.
So, I'm a doctor, I'm a medical doctor, and I never forgot what, maybe you know this from old stories, every doctor, he has to swear on the Hippocrates, and Hippocrates said that most important, it's primum, first thing, non nocere. So the first thing is that a doctor should not be harmful.
Do no harm.
Do not harm. That's absolute priority. And I think today we don't have to do this, And then if you go to YouTube and if you see how some doctors cut down teeth, take enamel off, and I've never seen a TikTok movie about prevention. I've never seen. I always see these people with white teeth, and if you just get all your information, Turkish teeth, yeah, okay, but that's by some influencer. They created the term Turkish teeth, But I've seen Turkish teeth from many other countries, So it depends more on the doctor that does this thing. And today simply it's a problem that, because if you only go to Instagram, to YouTube, to TikTok, you find a lot of bullshit, when people just cry for clicks, They just write
instant things, not long term. Yeah.
That's why it's Instagram, It's for the moment, and nobody cares about the future. But now to come back with oral hygiene, 1,000 years ago, the average age was 40. So I'm just over. So my expiry date is gone.
Average.
My expiry date is gone longer. Yours is 6 years,
Almost all the time.
Expiry date. Right. So if you want to become 40, I think you don't have to do a lot, with cleaning, and you will have some teeth to bite the dust. Okay? But we all want to become 80, 90, whatever. So it's not insta, it's long term. So we doctors, whatever we do, we have to think, one day this patient will walk in when I'm already dead, And I want that this patient, if it's a younger guy, okay, walks in, I always think with my planning, this person has to see another dentist in the future. And I want that then this patient is as healthy as possible, that he gets the best treatment, because we just thought about, there's a book laying around here. I said, come on, we remove it, leave it here, because this is I still, after 40 years, can learn a lot. There are a lot of changes in dentistry. We We have big things that happen. Every year you have to find out, shall I change now this to this? And always with the background of being a better dentist, not in the sense of making more money, but in the sense of having healthier patients, or even provide a service for a better price, that I can offer it to more people, because good dentistry is expensive, because it's still a lot of labor. I have to do it with my hands, and I cannot just taking 20 robots that do something. There is the big money, but I still have to do it manually. So that's why we never can go under a certain level, you know. But for example, and I already mentioned
I would want to add with this first clinic that I went in Croatia, this Šlajanić, they were known for the old professor. He died. I think the universe came because he did a lot of damage actually to people. He would show up at the first appointment, tell you what he would do, and then I was never treated by him. He would just check it periodically, but I was treated by his apprentices and very young dentists, females, who really, I would say now, if I look back, if I rewind the memories, they had no idea what they were doing. You know, they were dropping off like those instruments sometimes when they were changing the braces, you know, all these little technical things, mechanical stuff, they would either install it wrong, or my gums would bleed, and they would just say, like, with a retainer, no, that's fine, we didn't know how to do it. Like, I mean, you're always not luckily, you're always in line with the trends. And when I had to compare, I did some tests in 2021 during the COVID, and 22 when we were still in the phase, and this is important, we were still in the phase of healing the gums first, the cause and the root of the problem. I went to one Milicic dent in Croatia to see what's their approach. And then the guy there told me, yes, I see that you have some issues with the first. Is it the first? How do you call it? First
let's say you have two centrals.
Two centrals.
Two centrals,
okay.
there are big ones here.
Yeah.
The rabbit has two big centrals, and then
yeah.
you have laterals, they're a little bit smaller, and then the canine. I think that's...
And the central was bad. And then he said, okay, we will file down the second healthy tooth central so that we can match to the first one. And I said, why would you file down a completely healthy tooth? Yeah, because you will get the veneer, blah, blah. And I said, no way. And now what I see, they're heavily advertising themselves over Facebook, Instagram, like some cheap agency, you know, like, come and get veneers. Like, that is absolutely wrong what they're doing. And they're tricking the masses, you know. That's why most people my age in Croatia have extremely bad teeth.
Yeah.
You know. And this is exactly the part of the discussion we have about longevity. There is nothing long-term about that, unfortunately.
But you know, the problem you discussed, I see all over the planet.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe you are just a victim of maybe you entered the wrong doors.
I'm just frustrated a little bit because I had very bad experiences in Croatia, my Croatian, so I complain a lot.
Yeah, and you know, if you come, I don't know, you like cars, whatever, maybe you drive with a Porsche in front of the clinic, and then they said, there comes some money along.
No.
I don't know. But what you mentioned now, you know, you have one central. And I think you once hit it when you have been young, and then this crown, then this tooth, or whatever.
No, but this was another story. When I was little, I got these braces, you know, those plastic braces, how do you call them? They're not fixed, but they are, you wear them overnight, you know, with the mold.
So it's a removable appliance. You take in the mouse, you generate some wires, and then it pushes in some directions.
I was asking my mom at home, why do I have to wear that? I didn't think when I was a kid, like 12, 13, 14, that I had bad teeth. I had an overbite a little bit, but I didn't think that it was so necessary for me to have that, to wear that. And eventually, it caused more problems than if I hadn't wore it. So I didn't hit it, but I was again, this was another problem when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
This is where it started. And I was treated again by a poor let's say Hausarzt, you know, the doctor, like local doctor, again, she didn't really knew what was.
You know, let's make the story real bad. You know, what I see. I mean, we have now in Switzerland, the last years were after COVID were quite tough. You know, financial wise for many families.
Yeah, of course.
So I had several parents that say, "Hey, listen, doctor, we cannot fix this crown now properly. Make a temporary. That's okay. You know, because I invest in the kids. So money first goes to the kids. That's absolutely okay." But the other thing is, if you have a kid and if the kid has no problem, you see no problem, and you orthodontist or a doctor says, yeah, we need to make orthodontics, you have to have this appliance, you have to have braces, whatever. Always think about maybe he just wants to make business because he knows that you love your kids. So I think a second opinion is always okay. And what I think is most important, and that's really good advice, you have to find one person that you trust. Exactly. It's the same in life, you know, if you have a partner you trust, then you know I can trust him. And with a dentist it's exactly the same. I have patients I treat since 40 years. Since 40 years they come to me because they know if I say, listen, if you want to have these two saved, we make A, B, C, D, and they say yes. Then I tell them the costs, and then they ask, do you have insurance for that, or is whatever, and is somebody paying for it? And no, you have to pay yourself, or yes, maybe we can take half here, half there, and then we do the job. So
you always find a solution.
You always find a solution, but most important, I mean, I see patients, they always go to the same hairdresser. And they say, I only trust this lady, you know, she cuts the hair the way I like it. They travel 1 hour. And then they are my patients, and then they move 1 hour away, and then they say, oh, I go to another dentist now, he lives around the corner, but they still go to the dentist next to it.
Yeah,
so
okay. Right.
Hair, they grow, right? Not always, no, but in general...
Maybe Turkey, not the teeth.
Okay, that's not Turkish hair. I think
Yet.
I'm still natural,
Yet.
you know. Like you also mentioned, I want to be natural.
Well, not quite. The teeth, I always have to mention to people that, well, I still have my, you know, the filed tooth, like the shark.
You have all
tooth.
the roots, but one has a crown.
Roots, but the
So,
appearances.
No, to come back, a dentist is like a doctor, you know, and if you have a relationship with him, if he sees you have kids, if he sees you're married now, you bring your wife and partner, then this is a relationship of trust. And if that doctor says, hey, listen, I recommend you strongly doing that, then there is something behind. And if you go to a new doctor, you have no idea how this guy has developed and what he's doing.
And what are his intentions?
And what are his intentions? Yeah. And at the end, we come to the character of the doctor, you know. Has he as the main goal your health, and that you are healthy not just for the moment, for long term? And if he's choosing the method of therapy, that you stay in the clinic, because that's my goal. You know, if he leaves, then I couldn't win his confidence. I couldn't win that he thinks I'm the best. You know, that's the best. If all my patients say, Urs or Dr. Brodbeck, you are the best, I want to come to you. I think that's a good relationship, because if I make bullshit, sorry for the word, in one mouth, everybody goes. The whole family is gone, you know. Exactly. But I be honest, I do a right job, and sometimes doing nothing is also a good therapy, because I say, listen, your teeth are beautiful. Another thing is, you know, patients are completely healthy, but they don't like themselves, because they say, if I make a selfie like that, I have a gap here. And the color is wrong. This actress, she has whiter teeth than I have.
Okay.
And then, so
self-esteem.
healthy teeth come to a doctor, and the patient shows a picture, I want to have teeth like that.
What do you do in that case? Because sometimes I see veneers, the Turkish teeth, the horse teeth as I call them.
Yeah.
And I always ask myself, what intention was behind the doctor who said, okay, yes, I will do it? Even though I think he knew that you will look like an absolute idiot with the teeth or your big fake boobs or I don't know some fillers or some Botox, but he still did it. This does not really go in line with the ethic principles of what you swear to when you go to a medical school, right? And these are not good intentions in my opinion.
You know, there is a psychological problem, and I think the English is personal dysmorphic syndrome. So an example, you know, an individual goes to a doctor, facial doctor that makes beautiful noses, you know, he can change nose, you can go them up, you can, whatever you like, you know. And then the person says, look at my nose and you see immediately the problem. Mm-hmm. And then the doctor looks at the nose and he sees a beautiful nose. And then he says, I was already with Dr. Miller, I was with Dr. Smith, I was with Dr. Obrenovic, I was with Dr. and look what they made. That's an ugly nose. And then, two options. You think you are better than all the others and say, I see the problem, I can make you a beautiful nose. Yeah. I can promise you fail. Because these individuals, they have a completely different approach.
Distorted image
exactly, because what they do, they look into a mirror and then they look to the tummy. And the tummy says, ooh. Mm-hmm. And then they say, my nose. Mm-hmm. To completely focus, look at the nose, bad feeling. And actually, they cannot explain to you what kind of nose they need. And with the teeth, it's the same. Mm-hmm. They can't look at the teeth and then they say, I don't like it. And I say, but this is nature. Mm-hmm. Nature has given you these beautiful teeth.
Do you, do you reject clients like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because they only cause troubles. And you know, I'm a doctor and I'm also a businessman, but when it comes to health, I forget about business, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because I never would make money by just doing something I know I'll not be successful. No. Because at the end, if this patient calls and they go to an attorney, they sue you or whatever, that's not my thing. But now, if they come with the teeth, and there is one word, if I hear that, then I just stop, because I know it's this dysmorphic syndrome, because they say, I want to have Hollywood teeth. Then I ask always, what is Hollywood? And then they
don't know how to explain. But this was exactly the case when I was wearing the braces in 2011. This clinic, Schley, Anic, they were specializing in Hollywood smile. They even had that as a claim, I think, Hollywood smile. And I was thinking back then, because my granny in a way forced me to have the braces. She paid for it and it was extremely expensive. I think back then 4,000 or 5,000 euros, which back then without inflation was a lot of money. Poor work in the end. But I was thinking, I was too small and too young to understand the intuition and the gut feelings. But I was thinking, who advertises Hollywood smile and what does it even mean, And then later I knew what it was. Yeah. It was just bullshit, actually.
So this is really, But if these people come and they realize that it's not a dental problem, it's a psychological problem, then in a concept, I say first, I think you better go to a psychologist or you talk with your family, that they can give you, let's say, the mental strength to build you up, that you can say, that's the way I look. I have these ears, I have this nose and these teeth, and there is a lot of reason to be happy. Mm-hmm. Of course, some people really have small teeth, whatever, but then I see, listen, I understand. Because when people look at you, they say, what's wrong with the teeth? We do not talk about this. Mm-hmm. And if you go to Instagram and put in dentistry, whatever, today, most of the doctors that post these things, it's always healthy teeth, and then they add a little bit of resin, a little bit of ceramic, and afterwards it looks better, but never healthier. So they come healthy, but the patient is not happy. He pays a lot of money, then they have beautiful teeth, and in the best way. And this I can say, okay, if the patient really wants to have it, he has to pay, but afterwards they have to be healthy. So the gums have to be also in a perfect manner. And very often, and when we talk about these Turkish teeth, you know, the white looks better, but the gum around is thick, bleeding, and inflamed.
Yeah, I personally don't think the white looks better, because immediately you can tell, I can tell now, because of all your expertise, what you shared with me, and how much you taught me about the dentistry itself and the hygiene, the dental hygiene. But I knew a girl long time ago, 10 years ago, she filed all her teeth, age 22, 3 something, and now she basically is in a way toothless, you know, like the dragon from the movie, toothless. Yep. So there was nothing healthy about that.
Yeah, no, just to tell the people, you know, if what they mainly do, you know, they take...
This was another one, sorry to interrupt you, a little digression, because this was exactly... the psychological trauma was already done. So there was no one who could tell her, no, you're fine, you have beautiful teeth, because these people caused that in the first place. You know, like my granny, she would do the same for me. She was a covert narcissist, and she did the same. Oh, you have crooked teeth, you have bad teeth, you have this and that. The damage was already done, and then she, like me, was kind of forced to go and wear braces.
But you know, a good doctor first sees the problem and can say, hey, listen, you are completely average with teeth. You are even a good-looking girl, you know. And sometimes, I like your smile, and that you not simply see, good job for me, I can make some money, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a character, and to go back, what happens whenever a doctor removes tooth substance, there is the problem with the thing that is in the tooth. And this is the pulp or the dental nerve, you know, they're inside. Because if you bite into ice cream, it's cold. Yeah. Or sometimes if you drink cold drinks, you feel something. So there's a nerve in it. And this nerve is not only there to tell you that it's cold, this nerve also helps chewing because it protects the tooth. If you have too much power on a tooth, the nerve tells the brain to the muscle, don't chew that much. So it has a function. And if you cut down a tooth dramatically, the chance is much, much higher that the tooth is going to die in the next 20 years. And if you look at data, they go up to 20% of these teeth, even more, pass away. Die. And then you have to take these long needles to make a root canal treatment, you know.
I had that in Austria, unfortunately. Yeah, the necrosis.
Necrosis? And then you have to take it out. It stings to hell sometimes, you know. Root canal filling. And every root canal filled tooth, after 10 years, every 5th is out. So this is not in my clinic. Oh, that's not only, it's everywhere. Clinical studies show root canal filling after 10 years, 5 teeth, 1 is out. So you have 4 left. And then you can wait maybe another 10 years and you lose. So taking out the pulp is a drama for a tooth. And if this happens with 30, I don't think that this tooth will last to the end of the patient's life. So being conservative, just removing a little bit, or maybe just adding. So in dentistry, we have so many options nowadays to treat these deficiencies or to change these shapes of these teeth.
What are you most proud of in your work time, in your professional work time? Any innovations that you did, or some concepts? Is there anything you would like to highlight?
Well, I mean, maybe let's take one innovation that's just general in dentistry. This is called adhesive dentistry. I mean, it started 30 years ago already, and then we had to develop some ceramics that were strong enough or whatever. So what's possible now, we can unify almost all dental materials, from titanium, from zirconia, from glass ceramics, whatever we can put into a mouth, we can bond to these materials. So we can unify tooth material, especially enamel, works perfectly, and we can bond ceramic to it. And this bond is so strong that this never fails off. So it's really like unified, you know. In dentin, when you take off too much, it's more critical. So the bond to dentin is not yet as good as the bond to enamel. So this innovation allows us completely new treatment method. For example, if you have a tooth left in the front area or even in the posterior, sometimes it's possible, you simply can bond the tooth to a neighboring tooth. And this we call then a cantilever bridge. Okay. So it just flies out, it sits on the gums, it looks perfectly, and it lasts as long as most common alternative, an implant. To come back to these cantilever bridges, so I just picked two things I think I'm quite proud of. So that nowadays, if you have a missing tooth, it's not necessary to cut down the neighboring teeth and to make a 3-unit bridge. That's still an option worldwide, and quite often this is the solution. For example, if you have already 2 crowns, then I would not insert an implant there, especially not in the front. And then you can make these resin bonded cantilevers. So you bond ceramic on the palatal side with a little palatal wing, palatal veneer, and then you can fix the tooth in the mouth. And I started with this 30 years ago, and nowadays we have the studies that these cantilever bridges last as long as the alternatives 3-unit bridge or implants. And the only problem is that there is no company that has a financial interest to do so. So the implant companies, you know, they have a lot of money and they give courses on how to insert a metal pole into the bone and how to make bone augmentation. But I do simple procedure very often. I not even touch the tooth. You take an impression and 1 week later you bond a tooth in there. So my time is 30 minutes. It's not more, you know, and you can create something that lasts as long as a treatment method where the patient has to come 6-7 times, and it costs, of course, much more. But as I said, I want to provide a solution that's the cheapest and that lasts the longest. I think that's
long lasting. But
that's what I want. That's the way I want it to be treated, you know. And this is the trust in the person that works on your body. You have to trust this guy.
This is exactly when people ask me, when I'm, you know, flying with some pilots in the cockpit, they always ask me, or people in general, where are you going? I say, I'm going to Zurich, you know. Well, what's in Zurich? I said, I'm going to a dentist in Zurich. Why? And then I tell them exactly, you know, from the beginning to the end, the whole story. And I tell them, if I haven't found Urs, I would be in a very bad place when it comes to dental hygiene and teeth. But luckily I found you over Mia. And long story short is that it's kind of cheaper for me to book a flight, come to Zurich, you know, and go to you or to Mia and go back home. And because I trust you and I know that you will do absolutely great work, and I don't want to change. And I'm a little bit afraid when you actually when you retire, you know, where will I go?
But that's another issue. But you know my clinic, you know, and in a concept, I think in my concept is that nowadays I have 9 co-workers, 9 dentists around me, and some of them have the same specialty as I have, and I treat them, and I think when you come to my clinic in the future, some of them will stay there and you will be in good hands, but I'm not yet starting to shake, no, of course, sometimes Mia says I have some signs of getting boo, but
I do too.
Another thing. But trust, exactly what you said.
It's all about trust.
But another thing is, if you, for example, and this is also something happens to me, that people say, I cannot fly anymore. Or during COVID, people couldn't come from abroad. And I can tell you, I know excellent doctors in Croatia. And then I say, go to this guy or that guy. Because excellent doctors are everywhere. I've been, I traveled through Africa, and I can tell you in Mauritania, for example, some people not even know where this is, you know, but there I found excellent doctors with the same attitude I have, that the patient is in the focus, and it's the patient health that I want to maintain with every problem they have. And this long term and not instantly in the moment. So drill, fill and bill. So for me, it's of course drill, fill, treat, whatever, and then wait, heal, come back, maintain, support. So supportive therapy in the future until hopefully he bites the dust with my dental work.
With good teeth.
Good teeth, good looking, a lot of pulps, a lot of nerves, a lot of healthy periodontium around my teeth.
Perfect. I would end here for now.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Urs, for all this knowledge you shared, and I think we will have some other discussions in the next weeks, years.
Looking forward.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Yay.